Hold on, we're going live. You got to share that kind of stuff on here. Hold on.
All right, you bet.
This is awesome. Okay, I believe it's preparing, but I believe it already makes us live.
All right, you bet.
Okay, awesome. Yep. Yeah, I believe, let me mute this. But I believe it already makes us live. All right, you bet. Okay, yep. Okay, we are live. Mr. Mike Kessler in the house. How the heck are you?
Woo! Doing great, doing great. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks, Zach.
Heck yeah. So I'm going to introduce to you guys this amazing person. You've seen him before on the channel, but just a quick intro to the Driving for Dollars Mastery course and channel. The Driving for Dollars Mastery, we understand the number one problem you guys have is consistently finding deeply discounted properties so you can make an absolute fortune in real estate. It can be discouraging. It can be frustrating when you're trying to get there. Does not have to be that way. That's why I share my marketing system with anybody that wants to learn it. And Mr. Mike Kessler here is a perfect example of that. He's actually in my market here in Utah. So all of you people that don't believe that there's enough deals out there and that you can't share what you're doing and you have to be secret and cloak and dagger, that is not the case. There's deals everywhere and there's a ton of them. So Mike's actually in my market and he's doing deals like crazy. I've interviewed him in the past on his success. But tonight he's reached out to me in the private Facebook group for students only, and he's asked me about building out his team. How do I start to manage all this success? How do I manage all these leads? So tell him where you're at right now. Where are you sitting? I love this.
Yeah, so I'm actually at my title company. I was hoping to get back to my office and have this call, but we actually just closed 2 deals about an hour ago, and so I'm like, I know I don't have enough time, so I brought my laptop with me. So I'm in their office at the closing table. There's the COVID screen right there that we just signed 2 deals with. So very excited about them.
Love it. So real quick, I want to talk about your background so people understand. I remember it was, what was it, a year ago? When did we sit down and have lunch and you were telling me about your experience with investing in trailers and trailer parks and stuff? How long ago was that?
Yeah, so I did, I was doing a lot of, I was looking for a cash flow strategy years and years ago, and I found the manufactured home strategy from another investor, and he taught me a lot about it. And so I kind of went pretty deep into it, and we created a large amount of cash flow through doing a lot of manufactured home deals. And but I wanted to switch back into single family homes in 2019 was my goal. So started 2019. That's when I joined the Wholesaling Inc. tribe. That's how I found Zach as well. I didn't know you prior to that. It was through the tribe that we met. And so but I knew that I needed to get into wholesaling. And I can't tell you that I'm so grateful that I did. This has been the best direction for me. And just amazing people in, you, and there's been others here in the market that have been so influential on me, helping me get into this business. And I can't say it's a business yet. I still have a job in wholesaling. Like if I left my work today, it would die. That's why we're on this call today, because I'm learning. I still need to learn how to replace myself so I can start learning how to get out of my business. And I'm thinking I might be there yet, but that's why I'm reaching out to, I need some help. So I appreciate it.
Okay. So I love this. I remember sitting down with you and you sharing how badly you wanted to get into wholesaling. And I remember it was just a short amount of time. You made it possible. And we were just talking off air that a lot of the times all people need is permission. All they need is someone that they can trust that's actually doing the business, that they actually believes doing the business, right? Because they see these gurus on YouTube like me, right? And they just think, oh, he's different, or, oh, he's full of crap. He's really not doing this business, right? But we were able to sit down and talk, and you actually got to know me, right? And others, like you said, in our market. And we're blessed, both you and I, to have other people in our markets that are willing to share and talk. And we're both friends with them, and we joke and laugh when we take deals from each other.
Well, actually, one of your guys took one of my deals last year.
Oh, really?
I found out it was actually when Justin was working with you.
Okay.
And I found out later on it was you guys that took the deal because I was the first to the house and he didn't sign the contract. Just into a second, he got the contract. You guys made like 10 grand or something on it. I forget, but yeah, so it happens. But I do the same thing. Every now and then I'll get one where other people don't have that opportunity.
Okay, so you said something interesting. You said, I have a job right now. I want to have a business. So I want you guys to understand where I'm sitting and what my position is in my company. I do not go on appointments. I don't send any mails. I don't send postcards. I don't do any of the driving. I really don't negotiate the sale or purchase of contracts. I literally look at my numbers once a week. I'm part of the meetings once a week, and I'm a cheerleader at this point, right? I spend all of my time on my coaching business. I spend all of my time on the direction I want my companies to go. And that's kind of where Mike's wanting to head, is where he can actually have a business that's producing the lifestyle he wants. And so he can focus on what he's wanting to focus on. So let's make this very clear, though. Even though you have a job in your business and you can't keep generating money if you walk away, you have a very high paid job, right? I mean, it's not like you're going hungry, right, brother?
No, there's no doubt about that. Right? That's why I'm saying I am so glad that I made this transition, because it got me out of doing construction and building. Like I'm a contractor, and it got me out of literally being on the job site, getting dirty every day. My wife telling me that I smell every single day because I'm sweating up a storm. Now I actually make a really good income off of what we do. Like, I mean, my job is fantastic. I get to help people. One of the deals that we just closed today is we helped this couple. This property's been vacant for over 3 years, and one of the units of this property has been vacant for almost 10 years that they've been sitting on this thing, and it's been a headache for them, and they were just so grateful that we were able to help them close this chapter on their life. They're looking to retire now this year, and they can now they're looking to buy some property somewhere else and move on with their life. And they're just so grateful that we were able to help them out.
Great. That's awesome. Well, I would love to. So I know a lot of this information is private to you, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot. So we didn't pre-script any of this, guys. I'm kind of just going with it. We say you have a high paying job. A lot of people go, oh, well, is that 6 figures a year? Is that, is that $1 million a year? I mean, what is your expectations, your goals to end this year? Do you mind sharing your goals for revenue this year, or some type of understanding of where you're at with your business?
Yeah, so we're trying. My goal this year is to do a revenue of about 500,000 is what my revenue goal is for my wholesaling business, and that's just wholesale proceeds. And
that's just so if you guys know what wholesaling is, that's finding a discounted property and selling the purchase contract that Mike gets. So that's not investing his money. That's not getting debt. That's finding a deal, unloading the deal, money, 500 grand.
Correct. Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah, because I do have other businesses that I do run. We've got other rentals, that manufactured home business, and also we have assisted living facilities and things like that. So we have other things that we do, but for the wholesaling business, that is my revenue goal.
Beautiful.
If we used our average of what we did last year, which was our first year in the business full time, I did about 17,000 per deal was my average last year.
Yeah.
So with that average, I figured it was about 30 deals is what I needed to do to hit my revenue goal. And as of today, I'd have to look at my numbers, but I think we're at 10, 12 deals, something like that now. And we're on our way. We should be able to hit our goal. We still have a lot of year left, but we're definitely on.
So awesome. You're kicking butt. You're making money, but you're consumed with stuff. You're at the title company doing this interview, right? You're not home at 6 o'clock at night. I've already got my workout in, kiss my kids.
Yeah.
I'm jumping on to do this extra bonus for people on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you want to change that, right?
I do.
Yeah. So the problem you're having is, how do I go about hiring an acquisition manager? How do I compensate? All of those questions in regards to how do I pass that on? First, for that to happen, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes. you have to know where you're at. You have to know your numbers. So you are a student of mine. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire here and see if you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I'm going to share my screen right now. All right. Okay. Yep. All right. I'm sharing my screen. All right. And y'all see that? You see that, Mike?
Yep.
Okay. This is for all of you people that are not a part of my course. You're getting an inside sneak peek, just one of the little parts of it. So this is the new updated KPI sheet, which is your key performance indicator numbers. These are things that you're supposed to be tracking. Have you got this new? I know I uploaded this only about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Did you see that new update to the course?
I haven't seen this yet. Nope.
Okay. So this is going to be your first responsibility before you hire an acquisition manager. So there's a business principle, right? It doesn't matter what industry you're in. There's certain business principles that will produce success, right? It doesn't matter if I go into real estate investing, window cleaning, building stuff. Like, it doesn't matter what I do. There's certain business principles that will make me progress, right? One of those things that I've learned is you have to know where you're at to be able to get to a destination, right? Because you're just going to be wandering in the dark and guessing. So let me give you an of what exactly it is I'm talking about. So this KPI sheet, let me break it down for you guys. These are different marketing lists. These are different marketing campaigns. This is not my numbers, okay? This is just a template, and I filled in the first one with random numbers to give people an idea of what they would want to track. So with marketing, the type of marketing we do is we find a niche list, basically an Excel spreadsheet with potential people that would want to sell their house for speed and convenience, right? Our very favorite list, what I teach is driving for dollars and how to build that list out the fastest way. And I assume that's your best list, right? It's my best list here in Utah. I taught you how to do it. So driving for dollars, right? Top one. Next one, Hayden's list is just a niche list that I'm not going to disclose what it is. But then Hayden's my actual acquisition manager. But then there's like the eviction list and the probate list and some of the other lists that people might market to, right? And what you need to track is the response rates and the conversions from different revenue or from different channels to reach out to that list. So the list is driving for dollars, and these are the different channels you may be using to reach out to them. So texting, Mojo, and postcards, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to update this every single week. So you have your week, your month, your quarter, and your year down here at the bottom, right? That's part of the course. So it should auto generate, or you'll want to make it auto generate to fill out your months, your quarters, and your years. So let's say you send 2,000 text messages the first week, right? You send 2,000 text messages. It costs you X amount. You get this many responses, which produce this many leads, this many appointments, this many contracts, your profits, your net profits, all of those things, and then your averages. Okay, so these are all put together for you. And it's so important for you to track and look at this every single week and update this and look at this every month and every single quarter. Because if you can go back and have 3 months to 6 months, preferably 6 months of perfect data, of updated data of how many leads you're producing for how many postcards you send to the Driving for Dollars list, how many leads you're producing, like what lists are you marketing to, Mike? I know you're doing Driving for Dollars.
Yeah, driving for dollars and tax delinquent are 2 lists right now that I'm using.
Awesome. So let's say you got just driving for dollars and tax delinquent there, right? You're going to want to know, okay, where am I profitable? I'm sending postcards to them and I'm cold calling them. Let's just say that, right? I don't know what you're doing, but then you want to track that, right? So you have your different cold callers, how many hours they're calling, how many leads they're producing, how many appointments they're able to get, how many contracts. So you'll see which cold callers over time are the actual profitable ones, which ones are just dead weight. You need to have these numbers. And the reason being, if you do not have these numbers and you hire someone to take your place as an acquisition manager to replace you in negotiations, to getting contracts, and all of a sudden your numbers start to tank, what's the problem? It's the acquisition manager, right?
Right.
But if you have these numbers and you go, hey, I don't text right now, I want to try texting the Driving for Dollars list. and you keep your postcards the same, you keep your cold calling the same, and you add texting, and then all of a sudden your response rates on your postcards and your deals tank on your postcards. What does that mean? It means your texting's cannibalizing your leads. You're getting to the sellers before they ever get the postcards, right? And so you need to have these numbers, because every time you make an adjustment to your business, you'll know what was the change and how exactly it changed your business. So, and it's the same thing, like if you hire a caller, right? And you have his numbers and you have your numbers on the cold caller, you know how many leads per hour you're going to be producing. You know how many contracts per hour of calling you're going to be producing, right? And if you hire someone else and they're a 10th of what you are, you know that they need more training or they need to be fired, right?
Yeah, no, that's right. I'll be honest with you, numbers have not been my strength.
Yep.
But since the beginning of the year, I made a commitment that I was going to be tracking numbers. And so I do have numbers for the last 4 months, which are great. So, and I'm going to keep it consistent. And we're finally actually seeing what my business is doing from a different vantage point. Rather than seeing it in my business, I can actually view it from on top of the business, out of the business. Yep. And it's been amazing to see those numbers for sure.
Yeah. So I review these every single week. I review on Wednesdays before my support calls with my students. So I have this review tomorrow, and I get to see this, and I get to see any adjustments, and we get to test different lists. And if you're going to go, okay, well, with driving for dollars, why don't we see if absentee owners work better than primary residents? And you can break those up into 2 different lists and see the profitability between those 2 lists. Or you can go, hey, let's do tax delinquent and do the same thing. Let's do tax delinquent for primary and absentee and see which one's profitable. Is it worth not spending money on marketing to this portion of the list? Like, you can't grow a business if you don't have numbers, because you're just running around chasing your tail. It's the blind leading the blind.
Right.
Truly it is. And so I'm going to stop that share. So let me see if
that's great. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So you should be able to, let me make sure I got that. All right. Beautiful. So that's the number one thing I would suggest, is understanding your numbers and knowing where you're at. So if you hire someone, you know if they're as good as you, if their numbers are consistent to what you're doing, or if things are falling off and they need more training.
Okay.
Okay. So with hiring an acquisition manager, you need to find, so I'm going to give you this piece of advice, where I go into hiring a driver in the modules in the course, and I give you your core values and writing out your core values. Did you do that part of the course? Because I know that's a newer update as well.
I do have my core values. Yes.
Okay. So in that course, I go over the importance of core values and writing your questions, your interview questions, to see if they're a fit for your core values. So first and foremost, whoever you hire for your business, whether it's a cold caller, whether it's a driver, whether it's a VA or a acquisition manager or a disposition manager, whatever position you want to hire, you need to make sure that they're first a fit as far as core values. Right?
Absolutely.
Second, they fit the personality type that's required for that position. And third, the skill set.
Okay.
Right? You want to have all 3, of course, but those are the order of importance. Right? Because if they're not a fit culturally, they're not a fit core values wise, you're not going to build a healthy, positive, independent group of people that can run your company for you, right? They're going to be annoyed. They're going to feel like they're getting taken advantage of. They're going to feel like it's not a fit for them. You are going to have cancer in your business. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made with my window cleaning business is I did not understand that principle. It's what kept me from being successful on a large scale with the window cleaning company.
Wow.
So the next part, so that's the first part. The second part is a fit personality wise. So your very best acquisition managers are very good cold callers. So my acquisition manager, you know him, Hayden. He's fantastic. Freaking love the guy. I was actually joking. Oh my, I'm so embarrassed. I can't remember his name. It's going to drive me crazy. Gosh, what's his name? Tyler Jensen. Goodness. You know Tyler, right? So Tyler's in our market. He's a flipper. And we were laughing today because I was talking to him about a flip he's looking at doing. And he's like, man, I need to get a Hayden in my business, man. How did you find Hayden? I was like, man, he's like number one importance and then my wife in my life. And we laugh because he really runs a lot of my day-to-day responsibilities, does all acquisitions, all dispositions. And you know, we're talking about bringing him in to help with more things and bigger things in the company. And it's so important that, you know, first he has the core values that I needed. He has the core values, has the work ethic. He doesn't make excuses. He solves problems. He has all those core values I wanted. Next, he has the personality type. He was a salesman that was absolutely crushing it. When he reached out to me, he was selling solar. He was in Florida and he was the top salesman. And he's like, dude, I was staying up all night fishing for sharks on the beach. And he's like, I would only knock 2 hours a day only during the hot times, because that's when it was most productive. And I was still the top salesman. And it's like, he's like, those guys were silly, right? He's like, it wasn't that hard. I don't know why they thought it was so hard.
Wow.
And like, boom, you have the skill set, you have the personality type to sell. And so he fit. So when I had that opportunity, I wasn't ready for an acquisition manager, but I brought him on to help with cold calling, with marketing, with anything that I could get him to do, and just scraped up the money to pay him. And eventually moved him into the acquisition position and hired other people to deal with the marketing and the day-to-day logistics, right? So make sure you find someone that has a sales background, skill set. They like sales. They want to be in sales. They like talking to people. Someone that's not going to be afraid to cold call. I mean, Hayden still cold calls for me. If he doesn't have appointments and he doesn't have follow-up, he's cold calling. He's cold calling 10 to 15 hours a day. Or sorry, a week, not a day.
Yeah.
A week.
How do you feel about the personality type that they want to be an entrepreneur themselves? They want to have their own real estate business themselves. I've had a handful of people reach out to me recently saying, hey, Mike, you know, is there a position that you could help me with? Or I want to get into this business, and they're really pushing, even doing some of their own stuff on their own, but they're just not successful enough to where that's one of the people I'm considering right now. But I haven't pulled the trigger just because I don't know if they would be a good fit. Because eventually I know that they're going to jump off and, you know, do their own thing, which I'm okay with, but
no,
I just that's going to be a good fit with my own business.
When you're afraid to hire someone because they might go out and be a competitor, that is not a good mindset to have. Your mindset should be, if they are a fit culturally, they have the skill set and the ability to do it, right? They have the personality type. They have all three things that you need, right? Your responsibility as a leader of your company is to provide them so much value in their lives, in their financial situations, and their freedoms, that there's no way in hell they would ever want to leave.
So
right? And if you can't provide their needs, then they should go out on their own. Right. Yeah. So Hayden, I tell him all the time, dude, you can go do this on your own. You can make so much money doing this. You can do this. Why do you stick with me? And I'm candid with him, right? Like he knows that. He knows that he's capable. I mean, he's freaking doing all of it besides the marketing, right? He's doing all the acquisitions, all the dispositions.
Right.
But I'm giving him a portion of a much larger pie. And as a team, we can do much more. Right? Hayden gets to do the parts that he enjoys, right? A lot of people do not enjoy managing systems and having a vision and risking their own money and being a business owner. A business owner and an acquisition manager, a salesperson, is completely different.
Right.
Right? It's a whole different ballgame. And so, if that person ultimately is an entrepreneur, if that person has constantly been building businesses in the past, then he may not be a good fit, he or she. You may just be like, dude, Yeah, I'll help you. I'll teach you some things. If you have a deal and, hopefully you can help him do a deal or two and make some money, and that'd be great, right? You team up. That might be a better relationship with that person. But if that person's like, man, real estate investing, I want to learn, I want to be able to invest my own money, they might be a fit, because that's kind of how Hayden was. He's like, I want to learn about this real estate thing. I want to be able to have opportunities to invest.
Okay.
But the thing you got to realize is all of my subcontractors, staff, whoever's working with me or inside my business of some kind, they are allowed to cherry pick any deal that we're wholesaling for the exact price of our highest offer.
Oh.
So the way we work our cash buyers is we send a cash buyers list, or we send an email to our cash buyers with our wholesale deal, and we do highest and best. We don't shop offers. We don't tell other cash buyers what our offers are, right? We just take highest and best. That way our cash buyers aren't worried about just sending in their offer. They're not trying to negotiate. We don't have time for that, right? We just want highest and best. If you can make money, great. We don't want to deal with that. So let's say we get an offer of $100,000 on a deal, and one of my guys or myself want to keep it as a rental or want to take it down as a personal property. We do. That's the house I'm sitting in, is a property I cherry picked, but Hayden still got his commission. The business still got the finances. Right. And so if any of my guys want to pick up rentals or flips, they have opportunity. They have an inside look at investment properties. Right. So the goal is to provide more value for the people working for you than they would have on their own. Right. You're trying to find people that have the mindset of wanting to be a part of a team, not being the leader of a team.
That's a great quote. I like that. Being a part of a team, not a leader. I like that a lot.
But the thing is, if you find the right people, they're leaders as well, right? They just don't have to have the visionary perspective. They don't have to have the 10,000 foot of, hey, this marketing channel is working. And if we add texting or ringless voicemails, what's it's going to do? Like, they don't have to know all those details.
Right.
They have to know the basics of how to negotiate, how to get contracts, how to talk on the phone, how to use the driving for dollars system that we teach, right? And manage and run that. They don't have to have the full vision of what you're trying to accomplish, right? The goal for you is to be the opposite of them. They're supposed to be experts in that one portion of your business, and you're supposed to be the expert of the vision of the business. For example, if you told me, like, it's funny. The other day I was having to export a list out of Deal Machine, and I had to go back to my own course modules to figure out how to do that.
Remember how to do that.
I couldn't remember how to export a list out of the software system that we use every single day.
That's funny.
Right? Because I don't do it. I don't drive. Like, I was actually out for a run the other day, and I looked over and I was like, dude, that house is completely vacant. 100% of the house is vacant. I couldn't even log into my Driving for Dollars app. I couldn't remember. I didn't know the password. So I got to Google Maps and dropped a pin and took a screenshot and texted it to my guy. And he's like, no, it's already pinned. It's already in our marketing. So that's kind of what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to empower people that have the personality type. So sorry, the first one is the cultural, core values, that they have the personality type, and then they also have the skill set or the desire to do a certain project, right? So ultimately that's what you're trying to do. So once you have your numbers figured out, then you can find that right person. The way you find them, my favorite way is just to network, man. Just network. You can, of course, I teach on my course how to post ads, and I do give ad templates for finding drivers, and that definitely works. And we've had students with great success doing that. But my favorite is just networking. Hayden came to me through a network. Our families grew up in the same neighborhood. His parents live in the same neighborhood as my parents. His dad's a doctor, so we're friends on YouTube. We didn't know each other. He's quite a bit younger than me. But he just saw a post. We have some mutual hobbies in common. That's why he was following me on social media, and he saw the post. My driver that runs my marketing system, we were companions on a mission. And so, he was here and saw the opportunity and jumped on it. And it looks like I might, be interviewing some more people through their network, right? Our cold caller came through Hayden's network. And so, it's a lot easier to make sure they have the right core values because you already know them.
Right.
People haven't been trying to, falsely talk about themselves. You know, you know them from social media, you know their families, you know their background, you know the reputation they've established. So
let me, if I can, let me ask you a question about the value. You said that because I think this is definitely one of my limiting beliefs on this that's holding me back from taking the jump. What are some ways that you give them so much value that they would never want to leave you? Like, why? What is it? Now, I like the idea of being able to cherry pick deals. I currently do that right now. One of the deals we closed today, I'm cherry picking from my wholesale system, and so I can see that as a huge value. So that means if Hayden buys a deal from your system, is he working his deal after hours and on the weekends?
100%.
Because he's dedicating his daily time for you, right?
His birthday, his last birthday, we were at an appointment at 11 o'clock at night. He got 3 contracts on his birthday.
Oh, wow.
That's the kind of kid he is. Okay. He's a freaking rock star. Someone's going to try and cherry pick him after this video. Right.
Right.
But I can't say enough good about him, right? Just a rock star. Even if he left the company, I would want to be friends with him. That's the kind of guy he is, right? Yeah. So you need to understand that you have the mindset and personality type and skill set to run and build a company. That's what you want to be. That's what you want to do. You want to build and run a company.
Right.
You don't have to build and run a company to be financially wealthy. You don't. What makes you wealthy is taking a percentage of your income or your profits or however you generate money and put it towards investments, period. That's what makes you wealthy. And so the kind of value that I provide to my team is I pay them very well, of course, right? And they get incentivized to grow the business. And if they grow the business more, they get more, right? And you can structure that however you want, whatever gets them excited. And I've told Hayden, we've recently been negotiating how we want to structure some of his pay. And I said, pitch it to me, brother. Like, and we read Profits First recently. And so he's taking a lot of the profit structure and everything that Profits First takes, and he's putting together a presentation on his compensation, on what he thinks would be good for the business. Right. Wow. And cool. So the other thing that I do is I buy a monthly book for my team. During our team meetings, how we end our meeting is we share the gold nuggets that we learned. And so I'm constantly teaching and helping them what I've been learning about business, finance, investments, and I share my success and they share their successes. So it's pretty cool watching people improve in all aspects of their lives, right? And being able to be a part of a group of people. That's one of my core values is we're constantly focused on self-improvement. And because of that, we have our own little mastermind. Right? They're like, if you truly care about the people you're working with, you will find ways to add so much value to them that they would never imagine wanting to leave. Yeah. Right? But that's what it takes to be a good business owner and a good visionary, is how to structure that, how to build that out. But you can go into that, but those are just some of the things that I do.
I like that a lot. I like that a ton. That's
let's see. Yeah. Those are some of the main things. I don't think we have any comments. Guys, if we've got some people live, I can't really see. Yeah, we do have live people here. I'm not as familiar with this system. I just started doing these. If you guys have questions for us, go ahead and start typing them over here in the comments section, and we can dive into that. But do you have any other questions, Mike?
Yeah, so I do have a question about do's and don'ts of compensation.
Okay.
How does it look for them? Like, do they get paid on the overall gross revenue of the company? Do they get paid on only what they produce? Do you give them because one of the ladies that I'm considering, she is currently making like 50 grand a year. She'd have to leave a corporate job to come and do what she really wants to do, which is real estate stuff. She loves it. And she's in sales. She's just very good people person. Like, I feel like she fits a lot of those boxes, but I'm a little bit nervous to have her, she's got a family. right? And, for her to jump a corporate job and say, okay, Mike, you now have to feed my family. I know I can keep the leads in front of her. I know that she's very motivated and ambitious, but the question I've got is how does that compensation look so that she's feeling like she's getting enough, not just enough, but feeling ultra successful to where she doesn't want to leave and go back to the corporate job. Like
Yeah.
I want to make it successful. So like you said, she'll stay here and she'll stick with me and we'll be successful together with this.
So transparency with her is going to be key. You explain the risks that she will be taking, and it's her responsibility to produce results, because ultimately it is. You will have to get rid of her. Even if she still wants to keep trying, you will have to get rid of her if your business dries up, right? Revenue in first position. So first of all is setting up some type of commission structure, right? One of the big mistakes I made is I brought in an acquisition manager and I said, hey, I'll pay you a salary for a few months, and then we'll go into some type of commission structure. The going rate, I'm going to give you the going rate, right? Because Hayden's a little bit different position, but I'm going to give you the going rate for an acquisition manager. It's anywhere between 10 and 20% for acquisitions.
Now, is that percent of gross on the whole company, or is it gross of just what
deals they bring in, right? Because if you bring in 2 acquisition managers, they get paid for what they do.
Okay.
Right? So 10 to 20%, and Hayden does all of it, right? He basically gets a percentage of everything that comes in. He gets paid very well, right?
Yeah.
And then disposition, so meaning moving the contracts. A lot of other companies have a different person that sells their contracts for them. I do not like that structure. I worked for an acquisition manager for Utah Sell Now, you know this, right? And they had a different disposition manager, and I felt like there was a lot of deals kind of fell through the cracks. I was constantly having to keep the deal alive because the disposition person was terrible. I know they ended up having to fire that person later, and so maybe I was just there during a bad time, but I liked that I had control of the deal from getting the contract to selling it, because my revenue, my income was on the line.
Sold it all the way to the end.
Right. So disposition, you're going to be anywhere between 2.5 to 5.5% for disposition, right? And there are disposition companies that can help you. I've never really looked into them, like Keegley and all those things. I don't even know what their good rates are. But understanding what they do and what they charge, that's probably the max amount you would ever want to pay out in disposition.
Okay.
But if you have your own cash buyers list, it's not hard. I mean, you could have, and the other thing is Hayden doesn't create the emails for the cash buyers list. He doesn't do a lot of the response, the email response. He interacts with the cash buyers through text and phone call, and meets with them during the inspection, but he does not prepare a lot of the stuff, right? We have someone else doing that for him. Okay. One thing that's the main thing with compensation.
So you don't like doing a base for a jumping off point. You would say, okay, day one, your compensation is we'll say 15%. We'll just go right in the middle of what you produce. And if they don't close anything for 6 weeks,
yeah, they're out. Because if you can show them, hey, look, this is how we've been performing. This is what we perform. This is what I expect you to do. So you don't just set them out loose on leads, right?
Right.
You don't just let them go. So the way it does get expensive. I do pay them for these leads, and you can negotiate that you pay them half because you were helping on those appointments. And once they're 100% on their own, they get 100% of the commission. But you want to go with them and let them watch you negotiate.
Right.
Let them watch you go on appointments. Let them watch you do appointments. They're not allowed to speak. When you get to the door, you introduce them. It's be like, hey, this is whatever. This is Bob. He's just going to be a fly on the wall. He's in training. But this is Bob. I just want you to know who he is. Okay. And then Bob is going to keep his mouth closed, and he's going to watch, and he's going to observe, and he's going to take notes. And then you're going to recap the meeting. You're going to role play, right? You're going to be like, okay, notice how I said this and why I said this. This is how I negotiated this. This is why, right? And you have him practice what you said him being the negotiator, you being the seller in that situation, right? And you're going to do that. You're going to do that for at least 6 deals.
Okay.
Once you get to that point, you're going to want to allow that salesperson to go in and do the negotiations, and you're the fly on the wall.
Okay.
You say absolutely nothing. You have to be willing to let a deal die.
Right.
That's the hardest thing. I freaking hate training acquisition managers because I just like, oh, dude, don't say that. Oh my gosh, you're an idiot. Hayden was a rock star though. I just kind of like let Hayden loose. I didn't know how the heck I was supposed to hire people and manage and train at that point. But yeah, you definitely want to then let them have opportunities to make mistakes and mess up, right? But then you critique them after them. You're taking notes on what they said and why they said it and how they said it and what the seller said. And then after the appointment, you evaluate and help them improve how they approach something.
Yeah,
but that's number one.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Someone asked, would you hire an acquisition manager paid 100% commission or draw off commissions to start? Paid 100% commissions. I don't quite understand what that means. I don't know if you caught this before. We're paying anywhere between 10 and 20% commissions to an acquisition manager. That's the going rate. My situation's a little different. I compensate a little differently just because Hayden is a bigger part of my business at this point. But yeah, that's the going rate. Well, I believe that's a ton of value and a ton of stuff to consume and digest. Is there any more last minute questions from anyone watching or from you, Mike, before we go?
How do you keep Hayden from not burning out? One of the issues I've got right now, and I'll be honest with you, I am tired of my follow-up calls. I've been following up like crazy, and so I've actually I got kind of tied up with a couple of deals that we did. Actually, the 2 deals we just closed today, and so I'm actually kind of tired of following up with my leads. And so how do you get, like, how is Hayden not tired of following up with people that don't answer the phone? You're on the phone for 2 hours, you only get a hold of like 3 people. How do you keep them motivated to where they're they don't burn out like that?
Yeah, I don't necessarily believe that I control that in Hayden. I think that Hayden has an incredible work ethic, and I think that's a lot of the core values, right, that you need to have in an employee. Someone that has a work ethic and dedication. Like I said, we signed 3 contracts on his last birthday. The last one being 11 o'clock at night because the person that owned the property was only able to go there when her ex-convict that had just gotten out of jail was at work, and it wasn't dangerous for her to get beaten up, the 70-year-old lady.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
So we're there at 11 o'clock at night dealing with that on his birthday, right? That's the kind of kid he is when there's opportunities, he works on them. So I know that I do not micromanage him one bit. He makes his own schedule. He's there sometimes in the morning, sometimes late at night. Sometimes he doesn't come in. He didn't come in on Friday. I don't care. I do not limit what he does and when he's there. Period. He's a big time outdoorsman like myself. We love being in the mountains in the fall. And so the fall is kind of crazy. Like I know sometimes we kind of tag team appointments and help each other out because we both have that same hobby. But I know that's one of the benefits of working with me, right? That's one of those value things. Like you can't make that kind of money and have that kind of freedom in just about anywhere, any sales job, right? So I know that he does a lot of his follow-ups only during hot times, just like when he was doing door-to-door sales. He refused to door knock in the middle of the day. It's a waste of time, right? His return on his time is just not worth it. He'd rather go hang out on the beach with his wife. And so I know he goes to lunch all the time with his wife. I know that he goes and works out during the day with his wife. I know that he has a lot of freedom that way, but he follows up when times are hot and he does deals and he's hitting his numbers. Like, I don't care when he works.
What would you feel like you said there, he's hitting his numbers. Does he have like a certain call number that he needs to reach out and connect? Like how many contacts does he have to make on a daily basis? Does he have, I guess, a certain contract number, like how many contracts, how many appointments he has to go on, and like a revenue goal that he sets for himself every month? Or is that something that you manage and track?
So when we track our numbers, I know if numbers are down. It's like, why are the appointments so down? Why are contracts so down? Why are leads so down? Right? I can see all those things, right? If I see, okay, Hayden, there's the same amount of leads, there's the same amount of leads pushed from our cold calling team, there's the same amount of response rate to our postcards, this week versus last week, what's going on? And normally it's like, no, if you look at my appointments are up or whatever it is. Like, that's why you have numbers. That's how you police people. You police people by results. I do not believe that the 9 to 5 system is the best system. I don't.
Right.
I do not believe. I believe it's getting the right people with the right core values and empowering them, providing so much value that they are excited to go to work.
I like it. Yeah, this is great. No, this is awesome. Like, thank you so much. This is great.
Yeah. So someone asked about the tax structure, whether we W-2 or 1099. I prefer a 1099 system, but you need to double check with your guys' accountants, right? And make sure that you're following regulations and how to do that properly. Okay. And then as far as, commissions, you asked about the commission. So when we do a deal, let's say an average deal for us is about 20 grand, and Hayden gets a percentage of that, or your acquisition manager should get a percentage of that, right? And then if you can get away with 1099ing them, that's best, because that acquisition manager then will have the ability to write off all of his mileage, write off his phone, and basically create his own business. So double check and make sure you're following all those regulations, but I would prefer 1099ing all of my people because there's less taxes and so forth, but you got to make sure you're following our regulations.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, that mostly covers what I was looking for. So, I mean, that's, yeah, I've got 3 pages of notes, so I appreciate it.
Love it. Well, hopefully this is a ton of great value to other people. So letting me broadcast this, me helping you is going to help a lot more people. So I do appreciate that. And you have a wonderful night. Get home to your family, relax a little.
Yeah, right. I definitely will. I look forward to it.
Well, we'll see each other again, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You're a good man. Appreciate you, Zach.
Yeah, no worries. Talk to you soon.
Have a great night.
All right. Bye.
Bye.